And tonight we're going to talk about one of the most important decisions that you'll ever be faced with in life. One of the biggest decisions you'll ever be faced with is to rent or buy. And I'm going to also introduce the possibility of being a nomad. So you have a couple options when it comes to what are you going to do for housing, for shelter. For most people, they have a decision to make between renting or buying. And for some people in society, less than 1% of society, they will possibly decide to become a nomad. Little fiery one on the live chat. Good to see you. I missed you. It's a topic that is fun to talk about in one sense because it's on people's mind constantly, and it should be because it's of that much importance because housing is one of your biggest costs, one of the biggest line item expenditures on your budget. Having a child is the number one thing that will cost you the most. Then it's usually housing and a car. College loan debt and different debts could be piled in there, but your biggest things in life, financially speaking, will be having a kid, housing cost, and car cost. So it makes sense to give some thought, time, and energy into deciding, do you want to rent, buy, or nomad? So we're going to discuss that, and here's how you start. What I've come to learn in making a decision, because decisions are tough, they cause anxiety and indecision because it's so hard to make a decision. You go around in your mind. Treat the decision just like you're taught in school with word problems. You have a couple of pre-selected answers, A, B, C, or D, right? So in this case, we have A, B, or C with regard to housing. The question on the test is, what will you choose for housing? Answer A, rent. Answer B, buy. Answer C, nomad. Answer D, live at home with your mom and complain when she brings the wrong fast food home. Oh, guys, we're not talking to you tonight. Let's talk about what we can eliminate. Well, when it comes to renting or buying or nomad, if you are in debt heavily, if you are broke and you don't have much or any in savings, we can take buying off the table. Because you can't buy property if you don't have a down payment, if you don't have good credit, and if you don't have any money, and you shouldn't, because it will become a burden to buy a property because it has a lot of expenses, even though there's something inside all of us that wants to own. Some of that, I think, psychologically has been sold to society because it keeps society in order and it locks them into a certain system. But some of it is wisdom. Some of it is you have to live somewhere, okay? So it's either you're going to pay for a mortgage or you're going to rent and pay for someone else's mortgage. And if you're less than 1% of the society, you're going to live on the road. So there's nothing wrong with buying, but if you are in debt, if you're broke, if you're not in a good place financially, you shouldn't buy. And I think I may have been a little bit too young when I initially bought my house. I bought a condo I owned for 15 years. And I think I bought above my means at that time. My career wasn't developed. And I didn't have a down payment. I borrowed from my parents, and that was a mistake, and it led down a bad road eventually. It was a blessing in many instances. I don't want to be bad on it, but my biggest mistake was maybe a little bit too young, buying a little bit too much, and entangling family with me. So if you are not in a good state financially, just taking buying off the table. So then you got two options left, okay? Rent or nomad. So most people are not going to be a nomad. A nomad is someone who just travels constantly, lives on the road. You don't have to travel across the country. You're just constantly moving. You have no permanent abide. You have no permanent dwelling. You are a drifter. You're a traveler, whether you travel within that town or within the country or whatever. You live a primitive life. You have no air conditioning, no heating. Some RVs can have that. So if you were a nomad and you were going to buy an RV, which is a big expense, so that goes back to our first thing. If you don't have money, your problem wasn't that you tried to live in a van, you couldn't. The problem is you don't have money. So getting an RV will make being a nomad more expensive because some RVs cost just as much as houses, and used RVs are a disaster, okay? Because you better factor in a lot of money for maintenance, gas, and camping fees. Because if you have an RV, you're not going to be doing as much stealth camping. You're going to be at a campground. And then when you add the cost of having a RV and the cost of a campground, you're right back into basically the cost of renting an apartment. So then as you decide all that, are you mentally, are you physically in shape enough to live on the road? Are you in a good mental state, good physical state? Do you have the endurance to do it? Your age? So now you can kind of eliminate between rent and being a nomad, okay? Do you have kids? Do you have a dog? Those are all major factors. And those, most people, again, 99% of society will go towards the rent. And if you just want to be a nomad, not because you really want to travel, not because you want to live on the road, but maybe you looked at downsizing, and through research, like that's how it happened to me. You saw nomads on YouTube. You saw people living in their car, van, or RV. So you know what? That's exciting. It's an option. Never thought of it. And maybe I can live really cheap and get by on not a lot of money. Maybe I don't have to work as hard. Maybe I can live off disability, Social Security, whatever your situation is. But you don't factor in a lot of other costs that come on the road, and you go back to renting. But your main purpose on even looking at the nomad life is you're just trying to get ahead financially for a lot of people. So being a nomad shouldn't really be an option unless it really makes sense financially. And after you do the math, I think you can find a cheap apartment or a cheap room to rent that is comparable to being a nomad. Because I think a lot of nomads, I think they mislead you on YouTube. I think it costs more than you think. I've lived on the road full time for 2.5 years. And I've had a lot of people that I've interacted with on YouTube, and a lot of them started and a lot of them quit because it cost too much. It was too much on their physical and mental well-being. And it had some advantages, but when they did all the realization, a lot of times they went right back to renting because it was better for them physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially. It was pretty comparable. So now you're really at, all right, well, now I have to rent. So now, maybe you just want to do a month to month. Maybe you want to look on Airbnb. If you're going through a divorce, I've met a lot of people that have come up with this decision, rent, buy, or nomad, because they went through a divorce. And this is, when you're making the decision to rent, buy, or nomad, it may be at a crisis in your life, or it may be at a pivotal point where you're getting ahead and now you wanted to find out direction. If you're in a crisis, I don't think you should buy. When you're in a crisis, when you're going through a divorce, or when you're going through a painful part of life, dealing with a death or something, I don't think you should nothing is permanent, but buying is very much a permanent decision. It's not permanent, but it's very much a long-term commitment. And if you buy a property, in most instances, you want to keep it more than 5 to 7 years for it to be worth it. So if you're going through a divorce or if you're dealing with a death, I think rent or nomad. Because I think buying is like getting married, and I think when you're going through a divorce, the last thing you need to do is go through another commitment. I think if you're dealing with a death or if you're dealing with a major life challenge, I don't think you need to put more energy, time, effort, and resources into buying. I think buying is an option. Like we have a viewer, Jay Smith. I think he bought in the right season of life. There's a different season for everything. His testimony was he rented for 12 years. He worked, he saved, and he bought a house. He put like 30% down. He had enough in an emergency savings account for a year worth of expenses plus, and he has a consistent job in that area, and he likes that area. So if you've pretty much paid off all your debt, if you have enough for a down payment, if you have a stable job, that's a thumbs up if you want. You don't have to, but if you want to buy. So through these series of thoughts and analyzing, I think now you kind of have direction on where you could possibly go. It's still not an easy decision because it's a major decision. Your housing, your shelter is a major decision. You got 4 options. A, rent. B, buy. C, nomad. D, be a complete psychopath, live with your mom, and then be a troll all your life. Now, again, if you're in a crisis, there's nothing wrong with living with your mother or living with a family member. That's what, your loved ones are for, but that's like an emergency, right? Or you have a real legit issue. But when you're in an emergency and you still have physical and emotional capacity, you just need to heal, you can't get too comfortable at your mother's house or your father's house or your friend's house. You're there temporarily to heal financially, emotionally, and then to seek out a new direction. And that's why you want to rent or you want to keep it light, because you don't want a commitment. When you're in a pivotal point in life, you want to use that opportunity to reposition your life. What have I found through my journey in life that has helped me live a better quality life? Nothing is perfect, better. A better life is living in an area that inspires you. How can an environment inspire you? Number one is weather. Weather, the climate, the temperature plays a big part in who you are. Some people like the change of seasons. That's where I come from. New Jersey had a change of seasons. Some people loved it. Some people like cold weather. I actually knew a couple people, they like Minnesota. And some people like me, they like endless summer, hot weather. But even when some people like hot weather, some people like humid weather like me in Florida. Some people like dry weather like Arizona. Some people like mountains. Some people like flatland. So you see now you can start to say, all right, well, I'm renting. You definitely want to rent until you can reposition your life in the environment, the climate, and the culture. The culture is the type of vibe. Now, look, I've met a lot of gay people on YouTube. And look, if you're gay, you want to be around more gay people or a community that supports you. If you're a religious person, you want to be around a religious community. I've met people like that, like they're a certain religious faith. They want to be around religion. You know? Now, I thought Doug's a viewer from New Mexico. I thought he was gay because he had put like a lot of loving comments on my channel. And I said, this guy's gay, but I love him because I love everyone. I'm for equal rights. And he would just like send very encouraging comments to me. And I said, Doug's a good guy, man. I love Doug. And I thought Doug was starting to hit on me. I said, Doug, I love you. I'm not gay though. And he said, Sam, I'm not gay either. I said, I didn't mean to assume. I said, I went on your channel and like you had all musicals of like, he had like musicals and like he loved karaoke. So I just assumed like he's talking to me sweet. He loves musicals. He got karaoke. He must be gay. And he said, no, I'm not gay. I'm married. I said, all right, well, that's okay. But then like I just watched his last video. It was about like a drag queen. I don't know. I don't care either way. But what I can tell you is you see like some people, like there's a community that you want to vibe with. Now, I'm a loner, so I really am not looking for like a community. I'm not looking really for a religious community. I'm not looking for like a certain sexual preference community. I like Latino MILFs. I mean, but just to look at, so maybe that's why I like South Florida. I like the diversity. I wouldn't want to be around like an all country, all square, maybe like an all white type of like rural region. I wouldn't want to be there. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm sharing with you. When you reposition your life, you want to live in an area that plays to like your vibe. Okay. So rent until you can get to that area. Okay. And then stay in that area a little bit before you buy, because buying is a big commitment. Buying makes sense sometimes if you're like Jay Smith. If you got a consistent job, you paid off debt, you got enough for a down payment, you got savings. And as you get older, what you come to realize is if you have bought, you want to downsize. Because as you get older, you realize that the most important thing in life is time. And when you buy, a big portion of your time is spent on maintaining a house. Now, even if you can afford it, it takes a lot to upkeep a property. Whether it's the outside lawn, or even if you have an HOA, it's to clean the house. Now, you can hire people. That costs money, but if you have the money, you can hire people, but that still takes a level of mental drain. Because you are not just paying for the monthly fee to be there, and even if you paid off for your mortgage, you have property taxes and utility bills, but you also are paying for, the maintenance. So as you get older in life, you don't want to have that much demand on your mind. You want to be free, and you want to enjoy life more. I was looking at a home base. Why am I looking to buy? I owned a condo for 15 years. I sold it. I decided to live out of my car because I didn't want to live in New Jersey. But I couldn't leave New Jersey right away because that's where my job was. So it took me 2 years to transfer a remote job and get down to Florida. When I first came to Florida, I didn't want to rent because I've already been living out of my car. I said, shit, if I lived in my car in New Jersey, why am I going to rent in Florida don't make sense. And it's better weather. So then I get to Florida, and now I'm here for about a year and a half. So now I look at possibly buying to put down roots to be more stable, possibly. I don't have to, but I'm looking at it. And so one of the things I'm looking at is just like a raw piece of land, an RV lot with an RV on it. And the people who are selling it, they have a couple properties. They bought that as an investment property. And we start talking, and they say, look, Sam, we're looking to sell it because we want to enjoy life more. We don't want to be landlords. We don't want to own a lot of property. We want to liquidate our assets, and we want to enjoy life. And that's what it is when you downsize. When you downsize, you're looking to only have what you need as far as housing and housing expenditures. And you want to enjoy life. You want to travel. You want to just not worry about much. You don't want to write a lot of checks. You don't want to pay a lot of bills. You want to enjoy life. And the less commitment you have, the more enjoyment. Buying is a commitment. Renting is a short-term commitment. Buying is a long-term commitment. Nomad is little to no commitment, but it's a wear and tear on your mind, body, and soul because you're constantly moving. You're not resting. And so as you get older, I think the nomad gets less. Now, you can buy an RV and just park in an RV park. But again, there's some cost involved with that, and that's not really constantly moving. So what's the answer? The answer is individual. Okay. And it doesn't matter who you are, what walk of life. It's individual, but process of elimination. If you're broke, take buying off the table because it doesn't make sense and you're probably not going to be able to do it. For most people, renting makes sense. And for most people who want to be a nomad, they don't really want to be a nomad. They may want to travel, but they just want to live cheap. That's my experience in doing it. So if you just want to live cheap, try to find a cheaper apartment. You don't need a lot of square footage. If you're one person, 250 square foot or less. And I recommend if you're single to live alone. The older I get in life, the better I think you are to live alone. Unless you are married or kids or whatever. But I think, and when your kids get to puberty, they're going to want to live alone. They're going to want to have sex. Well, that's what I did when I was in puberty. We all wanted to live alone. We wanted to run away, but there's value to having your own place. And I think if you have the physical and mental capacity, I think at a certain point, I think you need to get out of option D, living at home with your mom. Now, if you have a legit disability or something, live at home with your mom as long as you need. But if you have the capacity, I think you should go out there and experience life a little bit, even if you need a little bit of help from others. There's no one answer. These are just some thoughts from someone who has some life experience. And now I'm in a season of my life where I look at, what do I want to do next? Do I want to keep being a nomad? Do I want to buy again? Do I want to just rent? Like staying at a campground's renting, but it's very short term. It's day to day. So with that said, we'll go to all live comments. It's some things to spur your mind. And I appreciate your guys' feedback, the comments in the live section. We read them. I also appreciate if you guys take the effort to click the thumbs up button, share the video, and we go from there, guys. Love and respect. And let me put my fan on because it's hot as hell in Florida. What up, Omar? Yeah, Doug got me, man. I looked at Doug's video today, man. Swan Auto, if you're in here, man, say something. I gotta say something about Swan Auto's video. I'm not gonna say it though unless he's in here. Swan Auto did a damn near porn movie. His video, I'm not even gonna say what his video was about. I'll wait till he comments. Some of you guys are freaks, man. I'm not mad at you though. I'm not mad. There's a guy like I'm real cool with. He's a gay guy from Starbucks. I love him, and so we talk all the time. We're cool. And his boyfriend came in today, and I've seen his boyfriend a couple times. He got like an inner thigh tattoo, and but we're cool. But like that's what I'm trying to say. Like I'm sure. I don't know. You just feel more comfortable. Like, being around a culture that is open-minded, right? So, again, like part of choosing where you want to live is if you're an open-minded person, you want to be around open-minded people. You don't want to be around like a very conservative, tight-minded people. You can, but I don't think that you're going to enjoy life because what I found in life is you kind of enjoy life where you don't have to be the same as everyone because everyone's different. I don't have an inner thigh tattoo, but I like to see people doing them, without pressure from other people, as long as what they're doing is not hurting anyone. So that's where culture comes into play. That's where it matters. So let's go to all live comments. Little Fire One, Idaho's back in the house. Dennis, very smart guy. Evening, Sam. Good evening to you. Rattling it down. Rattling it down, stripped down to her sports bra in her last video. She says, shit, I got to get some views. I'm not mad at you rattling down. A lot of the guys came out of nowhere and start commenting on your video. Why? Because they saw you stripping out there. And my man Swan Auto stripped damn near naked in his video. Now, you know he was trying to get some views. Swan Auto, if you're in here, man, I got to talk about that video you made, brother. Because look, guys, I'm a stripper right now. I'm trying to make $100 million super chat so I can retire early. But, some of you guys out there, you're giving a subliminal strip club. Now, come on, at least I tell, like, look, I'm a stripper. Like, off the stage, my name is Sammy. On the stage, my name is Sausage Sammy. Why? Because you got to have a strip club name, all right? So rattling down, you got to have a YouTube stripper name. Because when you got the sports bra on, you got all the guys like that are on YouTube that don't know how to interact with a girl. Like, they start typing crazy comments like, oh, how you doing? Why they didn't comment when you was in your pickup truck, you know what I mean? Looking all beat up, like tired and shit. They didn't comment on that channel. They comment on the one when you was all sexy. I know. How do I know I got a YouTube channel? Now I get people, when I got a good day and the lighting hits me right and I look good, then all the freaks, they all comment like they talk about nothing, right? Because they try to hit on me. It's very sexual harassment on YouTube. And but when I look like stank, like no one comments. Now I got a couple brute lesbians that follow me. Now they comment no matter what because they got love for me. We similar. But you know what I'm saying? Like, YouTube's a strip club. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Mel, what's up, brother? Damn, Little Fire One's in the house. Idaho's in the house. Miss you too, Sam. What is your favorite thing that happened to you today? I woke up in Florida. I would say let's start there. Second thing is I got my tires replaced. But that was only because they got done. I had a lot of anxiety because I knew for a couple of days I had an appointment to change my tires, and that weighs on my mind. And that's why buying is I very much am cautious of buying a house. Because, like, see, when you own a car, like just having the tires replaced, making the appointment and waiting for them, and the couple days leading into it, it causes a lot of anxiety for me. It's like my body goes on fire because I just want it done. And when you have a house, you got to call a plumber, you got to wait for something. Like, I think about it too much. It weighs on me. And that's where I don't know if buying, again, there's a season of life to buy. And I enjoyed my house for 15 years. But I don't know if mentally anymore buying is good for me. I don't know. And so I'm saying all that to say it felt good when my tires got replaced. But it didn't feel good on waiting for the maintenance to take care of something I owned. But that just gives you a glimpse into my day. Kimberly, what's up, Kimberly? So true. They have heavily sold the American dream of home buying to us all. Hey, Sam, what's going on, Kimberly? Now, look, some of it is wisdom to buy a house. But it's only wisdom if you're living below your means, if you've paid off a certain level of debt, you have a steady job, and you're living where you want. Like, it's not wisdom. Just like, they kind of like oversold the college dream. So, a lot of people now have college debt. They don't use their college degrees, and even if they got great jobs. But, obviously education is still wisdom or some type of certification, trade school or whatever. And same thing with housing, right? Like, again, if you're living where you want, and if you're going to be there long term, then it makes sense. But again, like if you're an option D, if you have a disability, if you can't work, then, then neither of those are option for you. You're going to have to be on some type of subsidy, whether it's your mom or the state. And I got family members like that. But, it's like they hate life too. I have family members that basically live off government assistance, and they're mad because they don't have independence. One has to live with one of their parents, and they curse their parent even though they're living rent free. But hey, when you're not able to work or you don't work, that's what you got to deal with. And the other one has a relationship with someone else just because they need to combine their resources to pay for rent. And so look, when you don't work, I hate working too. Guys, I would just give everybody money. I don't care, guys. But when you don't work or when you can't work, you don't have options. And that's why I always wanted to work. Not because I want to just sit around all day and play with my, knob and go crazy. But so I'm saying all that to say the American dream is to buy a house, and to enjoy life. So buying a house doesn't make sense just for the sake of buying a house. Having your own space totally makes sense, whether you rent, buy, or nomad. Why? Because I truly believe that people need their own space. Some people more than others. And that's like, you guys always hear me reference, like, look, this is my space, okay? Like, even like panhandlers. Like, I know a couple panhandlers out here. A panhandler is someone who does, like, they work the street. Like, they just sit on the side of the corner or whatever and they, like, ask for money. And I got no problem with that. That's their hustle. But, like, the only time I get upset with them is, like, when they come up and they approach me. Like, I got no problem them doing them. They're on their corner. They're doing whatever. But when they come up to me, like, I'm like, come on, like, this is my personal space. Like, you know what I mean? So, when you're renting, you have your own space. But if you're renting a room within a house, you don't have as much personal space. Now, when you own your house, you have more personal space, but you have more of a burden of dealing with the maintenance. And you're always going to have neighbors. Okay. The thing with renting or Nomad, like, I don't have permanent neighbors. I have the flexibility to have different neighbors every night. But I also have the wear and tear of, like, after I do this live feed and I unwind, there is a mental burden on, like, you know, I don't have one location I go to every night. And that wears on you, okay? And that could not be healthy. And it's almost getting to the point where I say, Sam, is this unhealthy? So just be mindful of that. James. Hello, Sam, from Northwest Wyoming. Well, we got a couple of good viewers from Northwest. Good to see you, James. Kimberly. What about van dwelling in a specific city? Well, I did it in New Jersey. When I used to go to New York City, I took the train. I reposted a video I did from New York City 2 years ago. Look, it's like any other thing. Yeah, it can be done. I'm in mostly city areas. I may not be in the heart of the city, but I'm in urban areas. I'm not, like, in the middle of nowhere. So it can be done. Like, you know, it's not all positive. It's not all negative. The positive part about being in an urban area or the heart of the city is you have a lot of resources. So you have a lot of Starbucks, Planet Fitnesses, very much around your immediate area. So you can use those public resources to supplement your lack of resources in a van or car. Now, but I just interacted with somebody on YouTube today. They asked me about different cities specifically. They said, Sam, what about dense cities in Florida? Because they're thinking about moving to Florida without a car. They just want to rent a cheap apartment and then they want to take an Uber everywhere or just walk around a city. So I gave them a couple names. You know, Fort Lauderdale probably be the one to stick out the most, something like that. If you want a dense city with a lot of stuff close by and you could just Uber around, certainly, you know, Miami, all that, you know. So again, if van dwelling is just or Nomad, if that's just an option because it's cheapest, it's not cheapest. I think you can rent a cheap room and Uber around or walk around a city and be cheaper and safer and have more amenities. If you're renting a room, you're going to have air conditioning and heating. If you live in your van, I lived in my car in New Jersey. I didn't have any heating at night, so it was horrible. I got very sick. So even now I got a fan blowing, I'm hot. So I got more freedom than renting a room or an apartment, but I also have a little bit more sacrifice in certain areas. So, you know, those are some thoughts on that question. It's a good question. Ryan Bay, what's up, man? I like Nomad life because it's the cheapest and quickest way. I can live independently. Well, I definitely agree that it gives you maximum independence. So that I agree with. Now, the cheapest, not always, okay? Because, again, gas, food, I think costs more than most people think. And I think, again, you know, for some people, living on the road would not be good. But I do agree that if you are in shape enough, if you have the mental and physical endurance, that it is definitely the most independent life. But independence comes with a lot of responsibility. So home ownership comes with a lot of responsibility. And renting, not that much responsibility other than to pay the rent. So if you're just looking for the cheapest, you know, I would say consider renting, you know, I mean, you know, and then go from there. But if you're in tough times financially, then, you know, buying is off the table. It's just simply, are you going to rent or are you going to Nomad? And what I'm here to do is just caution you. I'm not, look, I'm living full-time in my car, so, but I also know what I spend per month. And I also do not believe a lot of people what they say they spend per month when they do budget videos, and I see how they live. They either live in the middle of the desert with no resources, and that's why they have free camping, but they're also living off canned goods, malnutrition, and you know, now that'll help you survive. But again, I think like if you don't have a legit like severe disability, I think you want to just use like living cheap as an opportunity to live better. To live cheap is fine, but if you want to make that a permanent lifestyle, if for me, I look at car living, van dwelling, nomad life, or even renting a cheap apartment as an opportunity to get ahead. All right, so I'm not trying to look at how can I live in poverty the rest of my life. Now, again, some people have no choice because I do know I have family members. Look, some people, that's just what they choose, or they have some issues, and so I don't judge it. But I'm sharing my mindset is that I don't want to live like that. And so what I think is a lot of people, they want to get ahead. They're not lazy. They're working. Now, some people aren't. Some people are. But I know a lot of people that are working. They just can't get ahead. So if you're willing to work and you're willing to try to get ahead, then what you have to do is, I think the nomad life is really good for the person that's willing to work the night shift. I really do. I think if you work the night shift, I think you can really get ahead because you've solved your biggest problem, which is where to park during the night. Because during the day, you can go to any public park. And a lot of people I know that don't work, they don't work because they can't deal with people. And when you work the night shift, excuse me, I just got to block a couple people. They don't realize these guys are definitely guys without jobs. They're living with their mom. They're so, that's okay. There are some people, I mean, that they will live with their parents, or they'll live with an abusive boyfriend or girlfriend. And look, I mean, I got people I know that are like that. But you can see a person's mindset. On YouTube, you can't see a person's face. Even if they have a profile, you don't know if they're lying. But when I read someone's comment, I see the content of their character. And so when I see someone's content of their character, I don't make an excuse that they have a disability. Because when you have bad character, it doesn't matter. I can't see who you are. I can't see your physical. And if you're that bad mentally, you shouldn't have a YouTube account. That's the truth. If you are so bad mentally that you can't have a good conversation, because I'm listening to my live feed, and I'm not really being that controversial tonight. So it's pretty much a positive. So when someone can't have a decent conversation, to me, it's just someone, again, not with poor mental health, but poor character. And they play their therapist like a sucker, and their whole life is going to be a total disaster. Do I want to be around them? Not at all. I'd rather live in my car than live in a mansion with them. You can say, hey, Sam, I'll super chat you $100 million if you go live with one of these people on YouTube that are complete disgrace. I hate to say that, but they are. And they got bad character. I wouldn't live with them. Again, I've told the story that I walked away from my father. I probably could have got a couple $100,000 inheritance. Why? Because he was just bad for my mental health. And so, guys, I mean, if you're just huddling your resources to live with someone, I'm not saying living on the street is cheaper, but I refuse to live. I would do everything in my power not to live around people. One is I don't want to live with anyone, period. But I definitely don't want to be with the unthankful, the contentious, and just the people that are just nasty. There's nasty people in this world. There's more good than nasty. But let's continue. Verto, first time here. Good to have you. I'm really enjoying your philosophy. Thank you. Teaching and wisdom. Well, thank you, Verto. I like your profile. 2 green feet. Wisdom. Type of, I got you, man. Love and respect. Free to be me. After divorce, no more attachment. Well, I agree with that. Free to be me. Good to see you, brother. I got a couple friends I know, even now, they're going through a divorce. And, when I lost my dog, too, that's how I really said I got this. When I had a dog, it kind of justified having a house, because I don't think you can really live with a pet on the road unless you're going to have an RV, some type of climate. You can't have a job, a pet, and live in your car. Because what are you going to do with your pet while you're at your job? You can't. There's a lot of people that I have family members, they're on disability, they have a dog, and they think the dog is the best thing that ever happened to them. That's fine. But if you ever had a job, you couldn't just have a dog, because what are you going to do with your dog all day? It's like they think it's easy because they don't have to work, or if they have someone else watching their dog. A dog is like having a child. When you have a child, what's your biggest cost? Child care. Because what are you going to do when you have to go to work? And so And again, my mom, a single parent mom from age, once I was 8, my parents got divorced. My mom raised 3 kids. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs. She worked at ShopRite, minimum wage paying job, okay, Carvel ice cream, and eventually she got into a temp agency and she got like some assistant secretary positions, okay? And she worked a variety of different jobs. So I'm not here to co-sign lazy behavior. If you have a legit disability, fine. But after I see my mom and even my father, he worked his whole life too. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna now. If you got enough money to just not work, I'm not mad at you. But I'm also not here to say, look, you don't, just be lazy. I'm not going to do that either. But I totally understand that after a divorce or after before I started ranting, I was talking about when I lost my dog and being that I had no children, no family, I said, why do I have a house? I really don't need all this commitment. And after I lost my dog, I was a little bit hurt because my dog was like my baby, my wife. I love my dog. And it was devastating to me. I mean, that's how I felt. And I just looked at the house, I guess kind of like someone who went through a divorce looks at their house like it's just old memories. It's an old life. This life isn't my life anymore. Like you get a divorce, you look at the house, you don't look at the house the same after a divorce. You don't look at your house the same after the death of a loved one. And so the house is even more of a burden, more of an attachment. And you don't want to be attached to anything because you've been hurt by either death or divorce. And so you don't, like my man Free to Be Me, you just don't want attachment. I totally understand that sentiment. Good job. Little fiery one. Welcome to the dashboard. Verse 5. Okay. Verb 5. Oh, okay. I survivor. Good to see you, brother. Ryan B. I hate living with people. I agree with that. It eats at my soul. I could testify to that. Sleeping in a car eases my soul. I can understand that. I like to get a house eventually. Good goal. But at the same time, we will have the future holds. We will see what the future holds. If I change my mind. Amen, Ryan B. That's one is way to have a goal, but way to be flexible in your mind. And that's what the Nomad life does give you flexibility, but so does renting. Renting gives you shelter, but flexibility. Now, owning a house gives you maybe more ownership, more privacy, more equity, but less flexibility. So out of all three, rent, buy, or Nomad is the most flexible option. So all of a sudden you lose your job and you have to travel to a different state, you're flexible enough to do it. You can start tomorrow. Okay. So you renting, if you're renting month to month, after your lease ends, you can leave. Buying, not so much. Even in a good property real estate economy, which we're in now, it's still going to take a couple months to buy and sell property at the best. So we're on a flexibility scale, Nomad's number 1, renting's 2, and buying is last. You buy when you're ready to put down roots, form attachments, and you're ready to not be as you are sacrificing some flexibility for home ownership equity and privacy, etc. Let me continue to read. Penny Doll, hey Queen, how are you, Queen? I love you all my heart. Queen, let's take a hydration break. Good to see you, Queen. Dennis, you hit the nail on the head, Sam, with me. I have to utilize the Nomad option until I can leverage into a home base. Good comment. What I've learned from you is regarding seasons of life, you have to have a timetable. Amen, I agree with that. Well, first, there was a season of my life where all I wanted to do was own. I was in a mindset. Then there was a season of my life where I would never rent. So like Nomad option made sense. I mean, now I would consider renting, but again, being that I've already lived on the road, now if I got hurt or something like that, I would go into a rental. Right now, I sometimes I stay at campgrounds. That's renting. I pay a fee for that. That's like rent. But it's at rent and a small commitment. It's not month to month. It's day to day. So again, that's where I go back to Nomad. The Nomad option is the most flexible, and it allows you to reposition your life to move to the area that inspires you with the culture, with the vibe, and all that plays a part. Cameron, hey Sam, it's hot as hell in Kansas. Well, hey, see that Kansas doesn't have the vibe I want. Now, I've never been to Kansas, but I could pretty much tell you, Kansas is not, Latin MILF vibe. Kansas is like Dorothy vibe. So, like, Now, if you got an inner thigh tattoo, would you want to move to Kansas? I don't think there's too many people out there rocking that. But you know, everyone's got you gotta have a vibe, man. Now, if you like Kansas, thumbs up to you. I'm not mad, but there's a vibe. There's definitely a vibe. Culture matters. Petty Doll, Queen, how was your day? It was pretty good. After I got my tires changed, but it was a lot of anxiety to get that done. How much does it cost to get your tires changed? For me, $600 for all four. So, if you think you're living cheap, you're not living cheap. You're going to have more wear and tear on your tires, your brakes, your mechanical parts. So, it's not free living on the road. Verb vibe. Need newness channel about a week here. Well, good to have you. The average person on my channel, even if they stay subscribed, they're only consistently commenting about every 3 weeks, and then I say something that hurts them or offends them, and then they leave. And that's fine, though. You don't owe me anything, and I don't owe you anything. And so a YouTube channel and being friends on YouTube, a virtual relationship is basically being like a nomad. You have maximum flexibility. And anytime if you want to stop watching my video, you just go do whatever you want. And if anytime I want to block someone or leave or stop the live feed, I cut it off. And so why do I like YouTube and why did I shut down all my other social media? Because look, YouTube provides me the maximum flexibility. It's a little bit of a side hustle, and I don't have a long-term commitment to people. It's like either you're going to fully accept me, I'm going to fully accept you, or we're going our separate ways. Now, some people who do YouTube for a full-time job, they're going to try to be your best friend because it's in their best interest. Because YouTube does not distinguish between a troll and a good person. All they want to know is who's watching, how many people are watching your videos. Why do they want to know that? Because how many ads can we sell? I don't want to grow my channel at the expense of harming myself mentally because I'm willing to work another job to gain my financial freedom. Ryan B. The library is perfect if you want some nice AC with peace and quiet. Good comment. Someone also mentioned yesterday that they prefer Starbucks because they like the background noise. And like at Starbucks, I get my social fill. Like I said, I was talking to my guy that I know from Starbucks. His boyfriend came in and, we were chopping it up. And so, like, it allows you to be social. There's some background music. Sometimes when it's too quiet, that's not good for me. So, like, even like when I go to like different places to sleep, if I go to a real quiet parking lot, sometimes it's harder for me to sleep, and I sleep better at a truck stop. Sometimes I sleep better at a truck stop because I like that background noise. So it's interesting. Petty Queen, aka Doll, aka Queen. Hello, how's everyone doing tonight? I'll call you Kansas. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Forgive me. Hey Sam, what's up? Dennis, never better Queen. My man V-Bob. It's very different than all the other van-dwelling moped channels. Oh, you damn right. Refreshingly different, thank you. Informative too, thank you. Queen, what are you doing, Dennis? Queen, I went walking today. Damn it, Queen. Walking will change your life. Whether you rent, buy, or nomad, always get up about every hour and go for a 10 to 15 minute walk. Now, if you're going to buy, this is what I look at when I think about buying a home base. I will not buy a home base unless I know I can walk around the community at night. I would never buy a condo house or anything else if I did not feel safe to walk around the community at night. I would just rent until I get the hell out of that place. If you're in a bad neighborhood, I wouldn't buy. I would never buy in a neighborhood that you don't feel safe to walk around at night. I wouldn't even rent there unless you had no other option. So when you reposition your life, and the only time to buy is when you are so happy with the environment that you want to put anchors down. Not because it's cheap. Like, I know plenty of places, even now in a high real estate market, you could buy cheap, but the neighborhood's bad as hell. Or it's in the middle of nowhere. Like, I don't want to go outside and walk and there's no street lights because I'm in the middle of the woods. And I don't want to, go outside in the middle of the night, you know what I mean? And there's crazy, dangerous behavior out there. Don't make sense. I've been in those positions in life. And let me tell you something. I don't want to go back to those positions. So the ability to live in an environment where you feel safe to walk at night is key. Very much so. Good job. Ryan B. I keep coming back to Sam for videos. He's very realistic to his lifestyle. Thank you. Jay Smith, that's our brother. He bought the right way. What's up, bro? From Jersey, Ocean County. I'm not mad at that. Near Seaside Heights. Hope you had a blessed day, Sammy, brother. You too, Jay Smith. I'm very proud of you, brother. Very proud of you. You bought the right way. Queen, I'm eating dinner, having a cream of mushroom soup. Well, Queen, that sounds good. Good job, Queen. Dennis, Refining my perspective here right now, Sam. I'm not mad. Thanks, Sam, for you asking. I love you, brother. You stay positive. That's my guy, Chocolate Nomad Vlogs. Jay Smith, was your HOA outrageous? That's another thing that sucks. That's true. But when you don't have an HOA stands for Homeowners Association. It's when you live in a community, they pool their resources together, they pay a monthly fee so that they can have more amenities, such as a swimming pool, clubhouse, a fitness center, tennis courts, etc. So when you live in an HOA, you may actually be able to use a pool or have a pool. If you buy a single family house, you may not be able to afford a pool. So the value of an HOA is you will have more amenities than you would in a single family house because you can afford more because you're pooling your resources together. The negative is you have to abide by rules and regulations versus a single family house. But the cost is the same. Like I grew up in a single family house, but the cost to mow the lawn, to have the equipment to mow the lawn, or you got to pay a contractor, the energy and the time it takes to mow the lawn, to take care of the outside of the house, to snow removal, to taking care of the roof, to taking care of siding, landscaping, etc. You're going to spend just as much if you average it out. You may not spend it every month, but one month you may have a big expenditure, and then if you average it out, it'd be the same as an HOA, $200 per month. There's no one scenario that you get away from money. So I think HOA versus single family is more of a mindset versus money. I think the money is similar because you spend a lot of money to maintain a single family house. But I think the mindset of a single family house owner is, I don't like to be around a lot of people. I'm not really for a community. Even though I have close neighbors, I don't want to be so intimately tied to them that we have a legal document saying that we are bound by the rules and regulations of the HOA. See, me, I didn't have a problem with it because, look, I'm a loner. So I was in the HOA, but I just kind of mind my business. I didn't get involved. And we had a good HOA. But there are some people I would walk around in the community and they would complain about the HOA. And I was like, really? I don't think there's any issue. But they're like, yeah, didn't you see, like, they didn't trim the tree right, or they didn't do this right? And so it's like people like to just like to bicker and argue and power struggle. I'm not a power struggle guy. I don't have to have everything perfect. So to me, as long as I don't see there's an abuse, like if you get involved with an HOA and there's embezzlement or there's crooked behavior, that's a red flag. But if you're part of an HOA and people are complaining about like the hedges are trimmed a certain way, that's just like, people being people. But the single family buyer wants to avoid that whole scenario, and that's why they would buy single family. Let's continue to read. Little Fire One, Nomad life is commitment to yourself. Yes, but it is also a wear on yourself, okay? Because to be on the road for 2.5 years, it wears on your mind, body, and soul. And I think it does cause you to age a little bit more because you don't have a routine that's consistent. So that requires you to work a little bit more. That's why you got to self-care. That's why most people I know who started the Nomad life, they're not in it anymore because it requires a lot of wear and tear on you. Like my tires went bad, my brakes went bad a little bit earlier than average. Why? Because I'm using them more. So in the Nomad life, I have maximum independent, maximum freedom versus the 3 options on the table, rent, buy, or Nomad. But I also have maximum wear and tear on my need for self-care because I'm constantly moving, I'm constantly adapting. I have really not too much private, intimate space. I'm always in the public. Now, I don't have the mental burdens of a house, of home ownership, or the mental burdens of dealing with a landlord. So I have some pluses, but I'm also telling you that I have some negatives. So, you got to weigh them out. Good job. Jay Smith, my HOA is very reasonable. Considering the area. Area is a huge thing. That's culture, guys. Look, do you want to be by a strip club? Do you want to be by a golf club? Do you want to be by a gay club? Do you want to be by a transgender club? Do you want to be by a polo club? Do you want to be by a golfing club? The culture is the types of clubs and environments. That's the area. And there's nothing wrong with any of those types of things, but the culture is part of the reason. The area, the school system, the infrastructure, the clubs, the events, that's determining where you want to live. It definitely has to be a determining factor on when you want to buy. Because when you want to rent, you're not married to the area. Like if you're in a situation where you have to rent in an area you really don't like because of a job or some other circumstance, like you're not married. So once your lease is up, you can move. When you buy, you can still sell, but it's a little bit more of a bigger process because it's a big commitment. So let's continue to read. Jay Smith says, my HOA is very reasonable considering the area. It is $150 a month. That is very reasonable. Most HOAs in my experience are at least $200 a month. Covers all grounds, maintenance, snow removal, and trash removal. Good job, brother. You bought the right way. Backwoods, that's my guy, a.k.a. the Northwest. Hey, brother, how's it going? Glad to catch you live, Sammy. Well, I love you, brother. Hydration break to you, and it's good to have you back, man. Let's take a hydration break, brother. Shout out to Northwest, man. So I've Nomad Vlogs. That's cool, man. Congrats, Jay Smith. It comes out to a little less than $40 a week. Good job to break it down. Break every expenditure down to a monthly, weekly, and daily amount, especially as a nomad. As a nomad, you need to know specifically how much you spend per day in food. That includes every drink, coffee, soda, everything. Every muffin, every egg white sandwich, everything. And what you're going to find is the average nomad, I think, spends $25 to $50 per day in food. Because you have no refrigerator, you can't buy in bulk. So I think you're going to spend $25 to $50 per day in food. $50 per day is $1,500 per month. So you don't have rent, you don't have a mortgage, but you're paying $1,500 a month in food. Now, if you're on the low scale, if you only spend $25 per day in food, then cut that in half. You're spending what? $750 per month. Break it down per day. Good job. Jay Smith, thanks, bro. Ryan B. My friend has his own house. 2 cats, 2 dogs, 2 roommates. Well, that's key. Again, if you have pets or if you have children, I think you can probably take the nomad life off the table. Unless you're going to buy an RV. Now, if you're going to buy an RV, then again, you're going to spend just as much as you would a rent or maybe buy. But if you're just in RVing for the adventure and for the flexibility. See, here's the thing with being a nomad. Even if you spend just as much renting or buying as a nomad, the number one thing you have over renting or buying is you have maximum flexibility. That's key. That's the biggest thing I'm not willing to give up yet. So even if you say, look, Sam, you're spending so much, you could rent or buy for the same price. What I can't do is rent or buy for the same flexibility. There is nothing greater than being able to start your car, van, or RV at any minute and change your location. That is maximum flexibility, and that's what I'm not willing to give up yet. So that's a great point. It's a disaster, and he's looking for a third roommate. He asked me, and I said, hell no, I would never want to live with someone, even a good person. Now, look, if I was completely destitute, you do what you have to do. But if I could help it, I would never want to live with anyone. That's just how I am. Even when I was sick, I stayed by myself. Why? Because I just don't want to be around people. That's true. Let's take one more hydration break. Jay Smith, love you guys. Guys, if you appreciate these videos, I appreciate you taking the effort to click the thumbs up. Thank you. Jay Smith. It's definitely more expensive than renting. He's talking about ownership now. Jay Smith rented an apartment for 12 years. He saved, he had a job, and now he's recently bought a house in the past couple months. And now here's his comment. He says, it's definitely more expensive than renting. He's talking about home ownership. I do have less disposable income now. Yep, cash flow. Cash flow is disposable income, meaning how much cash do you have left after you pay your expenses, okay? Someone means that, but let's continue. He goes, I definitely have less disposable income, but I'm gaining equity in a property. That is key. So that's the trade-off. Exactly. You're very smart. See, I have more disposable income, okay? But I spend it probably more on food than he does. So I don't build up any equity in buying a Starbucks coffee or buying a sandwich at Publix. See now, so I have more disposable income, but I have no equity. See now, Jay Smith, he has less disposable income, but he has more equity. His money's tied up in his property. My money is kind of just going out the door to Starbucks, but there's pros and cons to both. You know, so, but that's a great point. Good job. Free to be me. Hit that like button. Thank you, brother. Stephanie, Sam, what kind of fan are you using? I'm using a Walmart fan for about $20 or less, and it's a battery-powered fan. But before that, well, now I have a Gold Zero, which is like an inverter battery that can run it all night. And it's a rechargeable battery. It's a Gold Zero like inverter pack. But before that, for 2 years, I just used D batteries. A D battery fan from Walmart for about $20. That's all. Dennis, I could buy Sam as I have the GI Bill. Okay, so you spend time in the service. Guys, if you have no career, if you're struggling in life, and if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit, getting in the Army, whatever division, Army, Navy, Marines, whatever, the benefit of that is it has a great benefit package. The GI Bill, you can do, if you do 20 years, you can retire. So if you join the Army at 18, you could pretty much retire at 38. Okay. And, they got good packages with the VA hospitals and stuff. So, look, I'm not big into the Army lifestyle. I did some programs with at-risk youth in New Jersey where we would take different kids to, like, this Army base. And, like, they would get the equivalent of a GED. It was like mini boot camp. And so, like, for someone that had, like, you got no direction in life, if you're willing to be a little bit disciplined, the Army, whatever division of the military, it can give you enough structure and enough resources to position your life for a better life in the future. You have to sacrifice. Now, it's almost like being a nomad. When you join the military, you're going to do a lot of traveling. And your family's going to be uprooted a lot. That you're almost like a nomad. So, when you're in the military, don't buy. Not until you're out of the service, all right? In my opinion, do what you want. Because you're constantly traveling. So you're better to rent, and a lot of times, they got housing subsidies. And then as you start, after you travel and you see, then you buy, but then you buy in the area that after traveling around, you found that you most like, the culture and the vibe, etc. So Dennis must have been in the service some way. He said he can buy with the GI Bill. But that only allows me to get in at a certain amount of debt, which means I'll need to have enough money to get me into a better investment. I hear that. Queen, hello, Chocolate Nomad Vlogs. Do you like chocolate? Not too much chocolate and cheese. Dennis, I like dark chocolate. Dennis, return on investment means more to me now at my age. Well, as you get older, I wouldn't worry about return on investment. Because the only time you make money when you buy a property is when you sell. Like right now, if you buy a property for $100,000 and it goes up in value tomorrow to $200,000, you didn't make a dime. When you buy a property, you don't get any return. None until you sell it. And then once you sell it, what are you going to do? The only time you really make out is when you buy a property, a bigger one, then you retire, you sell it, and you buy a smaller property, and you move to a cheaper state. So it doesn't make sense to buy a property as an investment unless it's going to be a complete rental. Because you're never going to make money until you sell. And if you're older, you're never going to sell. Right? Because if you sell, then where are you going to move? They have to take your profit and buy something else. So sometimes when you're older, it actually makes more sense to rent. It's actually, when you're older, you should be looking to sell your property, either downsize to a smaller one or just rent until you die. Because unless you have children that you want to leave your equity to them, and your children are going to fight over the property you bought, and they're going to look to liquidate it to get the cash value. You don't make money until you sell it, and your kids who inherit your property, they're going to want to sell it. I had a family member, they inherited a bunch of multifamily properties. And after their parent died, it took 3 years of contentious lawyer battles until they dissolved the assets or split them up and people got their money. So that's the problem with, thinking that you're going to get a return on investment. Chocolate Nomad Vlogs, no more sugar for me. P-Doll, yeah, sugar. The average person shouldn't have more than 38 grams of added sugar per day. So read food labels. Your health is your wealth. Queen, why no more chocolate for you? Got a little chocolate. Little fire one. Sam, I'm glad you were able to ease your mind after your tires were replaced. Thank you. And that's what I struggle with buying. I know now as I get older, I have more anxiety when it comes to commitment and like just making an appointment, knowing I have to show up the next day. I worry about, like, are the mechanics doing the right thing? Like, when I had a dog, I would take my dog to the vet. I would have to see the vet working on my dog. I didn't want to leave my dog alone. And like when I was getting my tires replaced today, like I was checking in on them, like, are they doing something crazy? And I just want to get over with. So that's true. I like quick, easy in and out. Chuckling Nomad Vlogs. I'm on a strict eating plan. Got to get this six-pack popping. Well, let me give you this advice. Don't worry about a six-pack. Because any girl over the age of 30 doesn't want you to have a six-pack unless you're just a boy toy and she's using you for one night. Because after you get over the age of 30, most girls, their metabolism goes down. They've had a kid, and they're not looking for some super guy. Because then you're going to put too much pressure on her. Okay? And what I've learned in life is the only way to get a six-pack, I had a four-pack, a little bit of one, when I got down to 150 pounds. Not because I really have, not because I'm cut up, but because I was damn near anorexic. And what I could tell you is, you don't enjoy life as much when you're that strict on your diet. At least for me, I didn't. But I'm also glad I got my health together. Don't be unhealthy, but don't be so stringent on your diet that you don't enjoy life. Because you know who gets the most ass? People who are the happiest. You could be an ugly ass person, but if you're happy, if you got a good personality, you could get some sex. If you are a nasty, rigid, you count every calorie, militant person, you ain't getting no sex. And if you do, good luck with the person who wants to give some to you. Guys, you got to be a little bit of a free spirit. Don't be like the psychopath who goes to Planet Fitness for 2 hours and he can't talk to a girl for 2 minutes. You know, ease your mind off some of the burden of being perfect. Be a little bit imperfect. It's a blessing. Good job. Queen. Okay, I hear that, Queen. There's sugar-free chocolate. Yeah, that's true. But it's got like some type of chemicals in it, but I'm not mad at that. So I know my vlogs. I know. There's nothing like the real thing, though. I agree with that. Ryan B. Sugar monster in the bed with a sock. Hey, guys. A sock will keep you away from child support. Queen, right? Queen, who is the sugar monster? I don't know. Don't start talking about monsters. It's late night. I got to sleep in my car. Dennis, very acute observation, Sam. Thank you. Having a home base doesn't require a house. That's right. But it does require a place of privacy to dwell. Yep, that's true. Now, look, your sanctuary could be your car. But where you park makes it more peaceful. So when I know I'm going to a campground, it's more of a sanctuary. You know, when I'm kind of roaming around, it's not as much. But your RV could be your sanctuary. It's a state of mind, okay? Your sanctuary is your state of mind, not your building. But certainly your environment and certainly how you're looking at life and how you're dealing with life and your health, and that's all part of a mindset. So a big part of life is psychological. Like in your mind, what's the difference between like you looking hot and you looking like a disaster? Because the most beautiful girls I dated, they were the most insecure in their mind. I did, you know, I don't say I dated some ugly girls, but I knew some ugly girls and they were so confident. I said, shit, they ugly, but they were confident. Like sometimes, like I would date a hot girl, she would act too cocky. And I was like, well, she's not hot. She got highlights and she got fake teeth. So if she didn't have highlights, she would have a short ass hair and she would have some buck teeth. But, you know, she got fake teeth. She got fake hair. She thinks she's all that. Why? Because once she got like all this plastic surgery in her mind, she felt better about herself. But really, like physically, she's still a buck-toothed bald chick. But the outer exterior made her psychologically think she was someone else and her personality changed. Now, you could be you could have a wide ass and you could be a Casanova. Why? Because your mind is saying like, look, you're a Casanova. Now, to a certain extent, look, the girl probably going to leave you for a guy with a smaller ass and he's taller than you. But there is a certain thing to be said about a mindset of your sanctuary, of your place of rest, more than a building that is an appearance. Because a physical house with nice landscaping, it's just like a buck-toothed bald chick. It's nothing more than a fraud. Landscaping is fake sod and flowers that were artificially planted. A hot chick that had plastic surgery, she's got plastic teeth, she's got horse hair, and she got makeup on. Like, that's not really her. Your house is not really a house. It's got all like this facade. So is there anything wrong with that? No. I would date a girl with extensions with fake teeth, no problem. But also, like, if she start to act up, I start thinking, well, don't start acting up too much because I know how you look like for real. So, you know what I'm saying? All right, let's not get off track. Good job. Penny Doll. And why is he in bed with you? Don't start talking about monsters, Gary. Hey, I just sold my house, okay? And I am buying a motorhome. I'm not mad at you. I live motorhome, yes. Well, what you gained is flexibility. So selling your house, you lost equity. Well, you didn't lose equity. You made equity. The only time you get a return on your house is when you sell it. So good job. You just made your money. And you sold in the height of the real estate market. So good job. Now it could keep going up. We don't know. But here's the thing, right? So a house tends to appreciate in value. A motorhome tends to depreciate in value. But the only time you make money at a house when you sell, Gary just sold, so now he made his money. And now, even though he's buying a motorhome, which depreciates in value, what he's gaining is flexibility. So a motorhome, it doesn't appreciate like a house, but it gains in flexibility. And so, Gary, this is what I tell you, brother. Use flexibility as an asset, okay? And continue to go forward. Good job. Dennis, Sam, this is a comfort question. Why don't you open your sunroof? Heat rises. Well, I do, but I'm in the public and I'm in an urban area. I'm in a congested area. So if I open my sunroof, people are gonna hear me talking about like bucktooth chick with bald head and all that. And I don't want people I don't have too much privacy. So when you live in a car, van, or RV, I don't have the privacy that you have in your house. So some of you guys right now, some of you girls, like you got your wig off. You know what I mean? Some of you guys out there, you're walking around with your wide ass. You got shrinkage. You don't care. You got your sunroof down. You got your windows up because you're in a house or an apartment. Guys, I'm out in the street. So if I roll down my sunroof, everyone hears me. And I think people hear me now because these glasses ain't that thick. So I have limited privacy. I have maximum flexibility. I have limited privacy. So, you know what I mean? It's a trade-off. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's not, you don't get everything. You don't get everything. Queen, I love living on my own. Queen, thumbs up to that. Queen knows Queen lived through life. When I had an apartment, I love you, Queen. Stephanie, so true. Queen, I like your fan, Sam. Thank you, Queen. Queen, you're welcome, Sam. I love you. JJ Fresh. Didn't realize this was live. Watch now. Well, thank you. Good to have you. TZ. Sam, what's your opinion on people who are looking door work but can't find work? DoorDash, you can sign up and start tomorrow. Walmart, they're always hiring as long as you can pass the drug test. Planet Fitness, there's a hiring sign every time I go. Starbucks, start now. So when someone tells me they can't work, I look at them like they don't want to work. Because you can get pizzeria. You can get a job right now. All you had for DoorDash or Uber, you sign up, you can start within a week. I did that. I did a month worth. I showed people on videos how easy it was. There was no interview. All you got to do is have a license and car insurance. There were some psychopaths I met DoorDashing. They were DoorDashing. They were complete psychopaths. But I would say, shit, at least they have a job. So when I hear someone say that, my honest opinion is I don't know them personally, so I can't make a complete judgment. But it's like, you know, look, you're BSing. That's what I think. Not you personally, but it may be. I don't know. JJ Fresh, I agree. Thank you. Petty Doll, Queen, Sausage Sammy, that's my strip club name. Petty Doll, YouTube is strip club. Petty Doll, Queen, YouTube is what was the movie with Lisa Ray, Queen, when she was in a strip club? What was the name of the strip club? I forgot the name, damn it. What was the name of the strip club when Lisa Ray did that movie? Woohoo, Sam, if you meet a girl, robot, ooh, that's my dream, with a van, and she asked you to move in with free money, no such thing, but let's continue. She asked you to move in for life, unlimited food. Would you move in? To her van, no. I want my own van. Even if I met a robot wife that would super chat me $100 million, I would not live with her. Why? Because she still needs her oil changed. Maintenance. I don't want to do maintenance. So, and I want my own space. I don't want some robot looking at me at night when I'm trying to like just do me. So I need my own space, guys. So I love a robot wife is close, but no cigar. So I would date a robot, but I wouldn't marry one. And living in the same house, might as well get married. Or van. Sea Monkey, hey Sam, did you ever feel suicidal after losing your dog? No, but I felt very hurt mentally and emotionally, and I felt a little guilty. I have no family members, and my dog is my whole world. I understand that. I don't think I could go on without him. He is my only reason to live. Well, look, I understand But look, your dog's gonna die. Your kids are gonna die. You're terminally ill now. You're gonna die. I understand your pain and your thought. I've been there, but I don't want to lie to you. It's part of life, brother. I don't wish it on you. Believe me, I made a video about losing my dog. I cried my ass off. I couldn't. This 3 years after I lost my dog, I still cry. So it took me about 3 years to just walk around, not be able to cry. I love my dog. So I understand your pain, but look, it's part of life, brother. You'll get over it. It won't be easy. You'll have a scar on your soul the rest of your life. In my opinion, the only thing I would recommend is don't go out there and buy another dog, man. Not initially. Because when you go through a major event like a death or a divorce, don't buy. And don't buy a pet. Rent. Like if you want to go to a shelter and volunteer and help other pets, volunteer, do a foster home. But don't buy. So I love you, brother, and I understand what you're saying. Woohoo. And she was a Latino MILF robot. Well, you guys are getting warmer, but I'll never live with anybody, including a robot. Gerald, what's up, man? I have a question. Why don't you just leave the car running on AC on, at least during the summer? Well, to idle your car for a long period of time is not good for your car. It's not good for carbon monoxide, and it's illegal in most areas to idle your car endlessly, and it kills your stealth. So for all those reasons, I just don't do it. And to be honest with you, at night, even in the summertime, like I'm hot now because I got all my windows up because I don't want people to hear my conversation. But at night, I got my windows cracked, I got my fan running, the temperature comes down. It's not that hot. So it's hot now because I got no airflow. But good question. I love to drive. I'm late. That's okay. I love to drive. Good to have you. I love Arizona. She's back. Great advice. Thank you. I love your channel. I appreciate the positivity. I plan to buy a little land and build a small wooden house studio style when I'm ready to retire. Thumbs up to you. Now, I looked into tiny homes. I looked in New Jersey. There's a lot of restriction in most areas. Arizona has more open land, and in the west of America has more open land, more unrestricted land. Now, when you have unrestricted land, that's great. There's no restrictions. Just remember, your neighbors also have no restrictions. So if your neighbor that bought next to you, even though there may be a football field apart, like your neighbor bought with no restrictions on his land just like you. So if your neighbor wants to have a bunch of chickens and a bunch of strippers and play his music loud at night, because now he wants to open up a strip club. So you built a tiny house in unrestricted land in the middle of Arizona or in the middle of Nevada, and your neighbor who lives an acre away from you, he decided to open up, there's prostitution's legal in some areas. He decided to open up a whorehouse, have horses, have a live band and everything at night. So and ATV wheelers coming through. So now all of a sudden, your dream became a nightmare. So and when you buy, the biggest thing you give up is your flexibility. Like you can't just start your tiny home and go. So I encourage your dream. I'm not trying to steal your dream. But I looked into tiny houses and that was the problem. I still lose a lot of flexibility. The only reason I'm looking to buy now is because I would buy an RV lot with an RV on it. And if it got really bad, I would just move the RV and sell the RV lot land. When you buy a piece of land, you put a tiny home on it, there's not too many people in that real estate market that want to buy a tiny home in the middle of nowhere. And most tiny homes have to be in the middle of nowhere because there's so much restrictions on urbanized areas with regards to the square footage of house. You can't really build a tiny home there. So just be cautious and do the research. But I encourage you to live your dream, including building a tiny home wherever you want. So thank you for sharing. Out of Illinois. Southern Florida looks good on you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Shout out to Illinois. Be smoked. I'm going to go watch Stranger. I don't know what that means. But I can help you out. Yeah, that's fine with me. Danny, I slept in my car twice last month. And the police woke me up 4 a.m. both times. How do you do it? I don't know where you parked. So if you want to, I park in legal areas. I don't park illegally. So for the legal amount of time, I keep it moving. Like there's a lot of people I met on the road, they don't keep it moving. They park in one spot, they park illegally, and they get entitled, and then cops come knocking on the door because they shouldn't be there. So I'm either at truck stops. When truck stops, there's a certain time frame, I leave. I have my cops knocked on my door a couple times because I was at a truck stop past a certain time. So if you're at a Walmart, it has to be for one night. I see some people at Walmart, they're there every day, and they get away with it, but they'll come a day where they'll get a knock on the door. And so, that's part of this life. Either you keep it moving or you're going to keep getting knocks on the door. Now, sometimes I get knocks on the door, you can't help it. Sometimes it's just cops giving a welfare check, meaning they're just checking to make sure no drugs or no illegal activities going on or you're not hurt. But that's part of this life. And that's why, again, I think most people, if they're just doing it for the money, you'd be better off to rent cheap because it's part of this life. And I just can't lie to you. Just like I couldn't lie to my brother, like who said, like, if he loses his dog, what should he do? It's part of life. When you have a dog, you accept the fact that you're probably going to outlive your dog. When you live a nomad life, when you live in your car, van, or RV, if you're boondocking, if you're not at a campground that you're paying for or that you're allowed to be there, you take that chance. So if you don't want to take that chance, you're going to have to stay at a campground, whether it costs money or not, that you can legally park. And you have to be conscious of the law so that you don't park past the amount of legal time. Cameron, do you use your car AC at night? No, I do not. Hannah, thank you for this pragmatic assessment of options. Thank you. Wish I could have heard a few years ago. Well, we can only go forward, but I appreciate your comment. Yeah, we can only go forward. That's okay. Before I jumped into the nomad life. That's all right. That's how we learn. That's okay. I was in a crisis and couldn't keep up financially and became homeless. I understand completely. So, Hannah, thank you, though, for sharing. Love to you. And so, yes, we learn the lessons. I've made my mistakes, too. We learn the lessons, and then we let go of the past, and then we move forward. So, thumbs up to you. Queen, I'm doing great. Good to see you, too, Sam. Queen, it's always great to have you. Stephanie, thanks for the info, Sam. Keep dropping gems on you. You guys listen to the Mob Deep song tonight. Drop a gem on them. Thank you. Denise, hello, Sam. Hey, hello, everyone. Queen, hello, Stephanie. Dennis, for me, buying property is about improving the infrastructure only, and then selling and reinvesting my gains into a more desirable property. As a nomad, I have to create an income, and this is my plan. I hear you. Just remember, buying a property and selling it is just like buying a stock and selling it. All investments come with risk. So, if you take the risk and it fails, most businesses fails, most risk fails. If you lose money and you're still a nomad, are you willing to accept that? Because that's a possibility. So don't just think all investments always make money. They don't. So that is something seriously to consider. Sea Monkey, thanks, Sam, for answering my dog question. Love to you, brother. I love to you, man. I totally understand. I've been through it, brother. So thank you, Sea Monkey, for the tip. Thank you for appreciating the energy and the effort that I'm giving. And I appreciate that. Let's take an hydration break. Love to you, man. Thank you, Sea Monkey. Backwoods, that's my guy. Journey is going great for me. Thumbs up to you. He's living nomad life just recently, though, in the past couple months. You touched on a bunch of real topics. Glad to hear you, brother. Always good to have you. Brother, you know I love you all my heart. Keep positive people around you. I hope your month of July continues to be a blessed one. Thank you. Take care, brother. Same to you. Glad to see you. Backwoods, Dylan, you know I got a lot of love for you, brother. Stay positive, man. Dennis, got it on the sunroof. Laughing. Good job, Dennis. I love you, man. Gilbert, what's up, man? Queens in the house. Sammy, my man, what's good? I'm doing the best I can. How are you, man? Gilbert, hey, everyone, how was your day? I love the job. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Dennis, see, this is why I love this channel. Sam would date a robot, but only if he has a space. That's right. Not hers, yeah. That is what we call consistency. Damn it, Dennis, thank you for appreciating me. Queen, laughing at chocolate and cheese, yeah. Queen, dark chocolate is good. I love dark chocolate. Queen, hello, Gilbert. How you doing? Queen, how was your day? Sea Monkey gave me a tip. Thank you, brother. Guys, I think we got to all live comments. Jay Smith, where's Daddy Geek been? She's around. She comes in from time to time, and that's how I want this channel. I try to set an environment. Like I talked about, when you buy, you should know the area. Like you bought Smart, Jay Smith. You knew the area. I try to set an environment in my life where I don't put pressure on people. If you want to come in the chat, you can. If you want to leave a comment, you can. No one's obligated. And I don't want anyone to ever feel obligated or anything. And if you don't like me anymore and if you want to go your own way, I love you. I don't want to control people. So I want to give everyone freedom. So Daddy Geek gets freedom never to come back again if she doesn't want to. Snow Dog, what's up, man? Shout out to you. Snow Dog, you still in your car? He was in New Jersey living in his car after divorce for about a year. Are you still doing it, brother? Fabulous. Hey, Fabulous. Lived in my Honda for 2 years. Once it is not as scary as some may think. I agree with that. Great experience. Thank you for sharing your experience. Fabulous. If you want to share it, why did you stop? That would help other people. Because if you did it for a year, there must have been a reason you stopped. Were you able to save up money and then you wanted to rent again, or you got tired of it? What was your reason for stopping? Snow Dog says he's still in his van. So Snow Dog, I'm not mad at that. Yeah, if you made it through the winter, you're pretty good. When you live in a car, van, or RV, if you live in a vehicle that doesn't have electrical hookups and you don't have heating or air conditioning other than a fan or like a blanket, the worst times to be in your car are the winter in the northern state and in the summer. Now, AJ, I know you got the Prius. We're about to talk about that. Is winter and the summer. The best times to live in your vehicle are the fall and the spring because those are the most moderate temperatures. Now, in the winter in Florida is awesome because that's when it's cool. It's not cold, it's cool. AJ, let's see what AJ got to say. He's a smart guy down in Miami living out of his Prius. I bought my own home. I purchased a 2013 Prius for $13,000, all cash up front. Never look back. Well, brother, I think about you often, man. Again, my next vehicle, if I buy tomorrow and if I'm still in the Nomad life, will be a Prius. Now, I love the hybrid because it's fuel efficient. So you solve one of your biggest expenditures living on the road. You've got the most efficient vehicle with regards to gas mileage. That's where you lose on a van. A van has more comfort, but a hybrid has more fuel efficiency. And you are able to run the AC at night, but it will still kick on and run the engine probably within 20 minutes or so to recharge the batteries. But AJ, you make me think about would I ever buy used. I don't know, because I tend to buy new cars, but I keep in my mind what you did, and I love you, brother. Snow Dog, I always listen in the background. I appreciate you, brother. Or catch the video after live feeds. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, Snow Dog. Snow Dog, I'm gearing up to do a tour of my van. Well, brother, I'll check you out, man. I got love for you. Gilbert, at Queen, I'm doing fine, and I've been in my van for 3 months now. Gilbert, I'm very proud of you, brother. You've been a positive person, and I wish all the best for you. I want to see good things happen for people. I really do, guys, and I don't want to be around any negative energy. So anyone still in here, and guys, it's all positive love. And that's the type of people I want to be around. I don't want to be around any negativity. So, guys, we made it through another night. I thank each and every one of you. Sea Monkey, thank you again for the tip. Guys, just do the best you can, whether you rent, buy, or Nomad. The main thing is take care of yourself well, keep positive people around you, and if you made a mistake in the past, I've made mistakes, just let go. You got to let go, and you got to keep moving forward. All right? Peace, love, and stay positive.